All right, here's part 2 of angles. You are definitely going to need your toolkit to take some notes in. All right, so in yesterday's video, we talked about supplementary angles and we talked about vertical angles. So in this pair of parallel lines, so we have this line and this line being parallel, and they're cut by this third line that goes up through them, right here. Let's talk about vertical angles. So vertical angles, if you remember, are angles formed by two intersecting lines that are across from each other. So a pair of vertical angles would be K and J, or G and F. And I'm hoping you're thinking that there's more. So E and H would be a pair, and I and L would be a pair. Okay? Now let's talk about supplementary angles on the next slide. Okay, so yesterday we talked about supplementary angles, and hopefully you remember that supplementary angles are angles that are formed by a straight line, and I have a straight line here, I have a straight line here, and I also have a third straight line that goes up through those. So pairs of angles that would be supplementary. Well, E and F hopefully are two that you picked out right away, and I and J, and then you could have G and H, or you could have K and L. But there are more than just those ones. So if you look at F and H, they form the straight line that I highlighted in pink. And G and E would be a pair of supplementary angles. They would equal 180. And then you would have the same pairs on the other side, J and L and K and I. So any two angles that are, one is acute and one is obtuse, would make 180 degrees in this picture. So let's just think. Let's just pick any one. So if I pick K, K is an acute angle. Where's there an obtuse angle? Well, E is obtuse, H is obtuse. So those would form a supplementary pair with K. So K plus E would have to equal 180. K plus H would have to be 180. So any acute angle in this diagram is equal, and any obtuse angle is equal. Any obtuse plus one acute would give me 180 degrees. Alright, so we're going to add some new vocabulary terms. And the first one I'm going to add is going to be the word adjacent. Adjacent means that they're the angles next to each other. They share a common side. So if I choose angle L, the angles adjacent to it would be angle K and angle J. They share a side. So if I looked at the top pair, G, and I want an adjacent angle to it, I'm hoping you're saying, oh, that would definitely be E, and it also could be angle H, would be adjacent to G. Okay, the next vocabulary term is called corresponding. And if I would pretend that this was two different pictures, I could look at the top set, E, F, G, and H, and I could color code each of those angles. So E, F, G, and H. And each of those would correspond to an angle in the below shape, meaning this shape here. And we would have to look at the angles that are in the same corners. So G would be in the same corner as K. H would be in the same corner as L. And F and J would be in the same corner. And E and I would be in the same corners. So the colors that match up here, E and I, F and J, H and L, and G and K, are called corresponding angles. They have exactly the same measure. They are congruent angles. Okay, let's talk about alternate interior angles. And if we want, we could split this shape again like we did on the last one, and that might help us keep it separate. So if I pick an alternate interior angle, an interior angle would mean on the inside of these parallel lines. So that would have to be G, H, I, or J. So let's pick one. If I pick I want the alternate interior angle to that. It would have to be another one of those angles on the inside of the parallel lines. Okay? Inside of the parallel lines. But it's going to be alternate of it. So it's going to be opposite. So H is going to be the opposite to I. And if you look at both of those angles, they are both obtuse angles and would be congruent in measure, exactly the same size. The other pair would be G and J. So if we have alternate interior, we also have alternate exterior. And so if this is one of my lines, and this is one of my lines, I'm talking about the angles on the outside of those lines. So I'm talking about E and F, and K and L. And if I'm talking about alternate exterior, and I choose E, the one that's alternate to it, it's across the line on the other side, is L. And if I talk about F, the alternate exterior to F would be K. And again, those pairs of angles, F and K, and E and L, are congruent, exactly the same measure. If you look at E and L, they are both obtuse angles, and F and K are both acute angles. Alright, so let's apply some of that vocab. If I said angle E, if I picked that one and I said which angle is vertical to it, which one would you choose? Vertical angles. Think about it. H. The purple ones are vertical. So then if I chose K and L, what would you tell me they are? I'm hoping you would say that they are supplementary. What if I said I wanted the alternate interior angle to J? Interior, on the inside of the lines and across, so it would be G. Alternate interior. So you could get a piece of paper and you could be drawing these angles and doing the same thing with the colors that I'm doing, or doing this in your toolkit so you have it for notes. And I want to talk about corresponding angles. Angles that are in the same corner. So since I haven't used F, I'm going to use F. And F and J would be in the same corners. Let's undo that and do J a little bit on its side so you can see the overlapping color. So those would be corresponding. Now I'm kind of running out of room, so I'm going to have to go to a new sheet. Okay, on this one, let's just take a look at two vocab terms. Let's look at the vocab term acute. Pick out all the acute angles. Pause the video and pick out all the acute angles. F, G, J, and K are all acute. So then E, H, I, and L would be obtuse. So the obtuse are in green, and the acute are in pink. I did that because all of those angles are equal to each other. So all the pink angles are equal. So if I told you that F was 60 degrees, all the pink angles would be 60 degrees. If F is 60 degrees, E is its supplementary angle, and so 180 minus 60, I'm hoping you say, is 120. So all the green angles would then be 120. So when you know one angle in this diagram, you actually know them all. So these are called parallel lines cut by a transversal, and it's the same diagram we've been looking at, but I'm giving it a name now. So I'm hoping that you're able to look at this diagram and kind of use the vocab to find the missing pieces. So you have a couple worksheets to work on, and I want you to make sure you're using this toolkit entry to help you. The toolkit entry, hopefully, that you just wrote, that's the one, and practice the vocabulary terms on the worksheets.